Alright, Algebra 1 students, this is going to be page 16 now. Remember, there's 3. There's a lot of example problems. I hope you're listening. So we have 2 more Tier 1 problems. Right here I can see this is straight up quotient rule. I'm doing 3 divided by 9. Well, 3 divided by 9 is a fraction, but I could simplify this. I could divide both of those things by 3. Right? So what this gives me is 1/3. Then I'm going to look at my fraction. I have x cubed divided by x. When we divide two things with the same base, we subtract exponents. So 3 minus 1. This now becomes x squared. Then I have my y's. Y squared divided by y to the 5th. This is y to the 2 minus 5. Well, 2 minus 5 is -3. So this is y to the -3rd. That's perfectly acceptable, except we don't want negative exponents. So I'm going to do, well, 1 times x squared is just x squared. I'm going to flip my negative exponent down to the denominator. So 3 times y cubed. Okay, there's my answer. Now in this one, I see a 0 power, so anything to the 0th power is 1. Not going to need to worry about that. Let's flip all of the things that are negative exponents. So I leave 34. I leave a cubed. My d to the -1st is going to go down to the denominator. So d to the 1st down here. Then I have my 2 still. My a to the -2nd comes up to the numerator as a squared. And I have d down here. Now I've done all the hard stuff, now it's the easy stuff. A cubed times a squared, that's a product rule, that multiplication rule, so I can multiply and add exponents. So I have 34, a to the 3 plus 2, so 5. Down here I have 2. D times d is d squared. And I forgot to deal with my number, so 34 divided by 2 is 17. 17 a to the 5th over d squared. So those were my easier problems. Now it's going to get a little harder. Now I have 12 over -15. Well, I can simplify my fraction. I could divide both of those by 3. I know that's not proper notation, but that's okay. It's just to give you the idea. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. And -15 divided by 3 is -5. Can't do any more simplification of that. Then I have m to the -4th and m cubed. So I'm going to move my -4th down to the denominator as m to the 4th times m cubed. Then I'm going to move my -9th up to the numerator. So I've got p squared left over times p to the 9th. And now I can multiply, so I'll add exponents. So 4 times p to the 11th over -5 m to the 7th. 7 over 84, I can divide both of these by 7, and 84 divided by 7. This gives me 1, so I don't need it, over 84 divided by 7 is 12. Now we'll move all the negative exponents. So w to the -2nd comes down as w squared. X to the 4th is still up there. Y to the 7th is now down here. Z to the 11th is now down here. W to the 0th power is just 1, so I don't need that. X to the 6th, Y to the 10th, and Z to the 5th. I'll leave my 12 alone, I already took care of that. Let me look at this. I have x to the 4th times x to the 6th. When I multiply, I add exponents. X to the 10th. Then with my y's, I'm dividing. So I have y to the 10th divided by y cubed. That's when I subtract. So y to the 10 minus 7, y to the 3rd. Then my z's, I have z to the 5th divided by z to the 11th. So I'm going to subtract. I get z to the 5 minus 11, z to the -6. And then I still have w squared down here. Well, I'm not done yet because I have that negative exponent. So this has got to go down to the denominator. I have x to the 10th, y cubed over 12w squared, and z to the 6th. Positive now. On this one, I'm going to distribute my squared. So I'm going to do 2 squared, which is 4. G to the 3rd squared, which is when we raise one power to another power, we multiply exponents. So g to the 6th. H to the negative 2 times 2, so negative 4. And down here, g to the 2nd to the negative 3rd, so g to the negative 6th. H to the 0th, well that's just 1, so I'm not going to worry about that. Now all I got to do is flip my negative exponents. 4g to the 6th over h to the 4th, and my g to the negative 6 comes up as g to the 6th. Well, I have some more multiplication rules, so 4g to the 12th over h to the 4th. And lastly, I'm going to raise everything to the 3rd power, everything in that parenthesis. So that means 5 to the 3rd is 125. A to the 3rd, so that's a to the 9th. C to the 3rd, 25 to the 3rd, and a to the 3rd, c to the 4 times 3, 12. Now I can clean this up. 125 over 25 cubed, I can simplify to 125. 1 over 125. My a to the 9th divided by a cubed, well, that's division, so I subtract exponents, so a to the 6th. And c, same thing, I subtract 3 minus 12, c to the negative 9th. So all of this equals a to the 6th. My negative 9 goes down to the denominator, 125 c to the 9th.